Huntington has sat down. Welcome, my friend.
Woohoo! Welcome. Thank you for having me.
It's been a busy week.
This has been what a trippy week, man. To be honest, to be back here, as you know, I'm a Long Island boy. This is it's just a dream now. I listen to the station all the time, and then to be in the studio with you, man, is a trip. So
you know, you told us that before you came on here. You told us that. That's pretty cool. Because I mean, we'll start with that. I mean, Huntington, Dix Hills. Give us kind of where you came from here.
Well, I'm a Half Hollow Hills High School West kid. You know, it's on the swim team. Wonder if there's any old nemesis out there. And you know, grew up. Yeah, I played my band and I. We grew up. We went to nursery school together. I mean, this is real old school stuff. We had the dream. We wanted to be U2 or Pearl Jam. You know, like we just set out, and from our freshman year of high school all the way to the end of college, where I went to Stony Brook University. Gonna keep dropping my Long Island roots for you, okay? And in our senior year, we got signed. Madonna signed us to Maverick Records. So we went out to LA, made a record, that whole thing, and then toured around a bit. Essentially, the band wound up breaking up, and then I picked up pieces and started this solo thing, and here I am today, a few years later. Obviously, that's the short story, but yeah, I mean, that's the story, man.
Yeah, you went over a lot of stuff. You kind of glossed over a lot of stuff. But let's start with this, being that you're a Long Island guy. Where did you used to play or hang out, or what'd you do here on Long Island?
Well, the Crazy Donkey, you might know. That was a venue we do in the downtown. But for the most part, you know, it's changed a little bit now. Some of my favorite bands are Long Island bands, but I think back when we were starting, it was like you had to go to New York City. It was just that, to make it, you had to go there, or at least it felt that way. And here was a little more cover bandy and stuff like that, which was cool, but not for us. So we went, when I was 14 years old, I kid you not, my parents, bless them, drove me and the boys to CBGB's in New York City. Oh,
we have something in common. Keep going. Okay. Go ahead, I'll tell you in a second.
On a Monday night at like 6 p.m. when the kids can play, and we played pretty much in front of just our parents. You know, so it's like, why can't we just stay home? But we did it, and it was there. I got my taste of rock and roll the first night. I mean, literally everything about that night. I remember walking in, seeing the dirt on the walls and like history, you know, putting my lips to this disgusting alcohol and hopefully not, you know, germified microphone that too many rock guys, you know, sang on before me. It was just everything about that night was like, wow, this is what I want to do with my life. And went on, and that was the start of it all, to the point where, you know, a few years later, we wound up playing Jones Beach, opening for Bon Jovi, and getting these opportunities across the way that said, keep doing this, because it's hard out there. You know, it's like you need to know something's working. But we did our thing, and you know, we rehearsed in our Dix Hills basement for like 10 years. Again, bless my parents, we'd come up after, you know, 8 hours of rehearsal. I mean, we rehearsed every day. We were very hard-working kids, and the paintings on the walls of my parents' house would be crooked. We would have to literally change, you know, put them back, center them again. It was a ritual after each rehearsal. We'd finish at like 11:30 at night on a work night or a school night, and, you know, they never, again, bless them, they never said, hey, guys, cut it out. They always let us rehearse. Sometimes my mom said, can you play more than 10 seconds of the song over and over again? You know, we're working on sections. So they dealt with it. But they finally got to see it all pay off a little bit, because my album 1159 dropped on Tuesday. And I also played a sold-out Irving Plaza show, which was the place I grew up watching all my favorite bands play. So they got to be there and see the dream start to come to life.
And we're going to get to the album and the Irving Plaza show and everything that's been going on with you this week in a second. I got to back up for a minute, because I, too, when I was 16, played CBGB's.
What was the name of the band?
The Pups.
The Pups, okay.
Yeah, it was. It's a weak name, whatever. But we
had a Facebook, got a Twitter.
It was a long time ago, and then we went to college and we broke up. But we played a night at CBGB's, and I feel like we're connected now, man.
You know that, man.
I've done that thing.
The Pups and Stage, which is the name of my band. We need to do a reunion show. CBGB's, it doesn't exist anymore. It's a clothing store, but I say we go, and our reunion show could be, you know, buying pants at the clothing store or something like that.
I like it. You know? Ryan, let's start with the TV show, Supernova. I mean, what are your thoughts now, since that's been done for a while?
Depends what day you catch me. Sometimes I'm nicer than I should be. No, you know what? That show, here I was in New York City, and I picked up the pieces. My band broke up. I was playing, you know, I was sleeping in NYU dorm floors, you know, whatever, I guess, girlfriend I was dating, and, you know, I just had, like, could you have me? I didn't have a place to live, really, you know. It was like stay at home on Long Island or try to hustle in New York, and I wanted to be in New York. So I'd play at any place that would have me. If they had a piano or a PA system, I'd be there and I'd play a show. Building a following the old-fashioned way, one by one, make a fan a night. And by the end of this, few months of starting my solo career, we started selling out smaller venues in New York City, which is, for an unsigned artist and unknown artist, a really cool little thing to get going. But still, I felt like something was, man, what's that next step? This isn't it. Like, I feel like something else has to kick in. And sure enough, I got this crazy call to do this, bizarre idea of a television show, this talent show called Supernova, Rockstar Supernova. Even crazier is that Tommy Lee was the star of it, and some of my heroes growing up, like Jason Newsted from Metallica, Dave Navarro is the host, and the beautiful Brooke Burke.
Sure.
We sold it. All those musicians' names didn't matter. I was like, Brooke Burke's on the show, I'm doing it.
This was the second one after the In Excess one.
Right,
this was the second one, right?
And then this was the second one. It was crazy, and the thing about this show, and this is what happened. I remember telling my dad, I was like, I'm selling out venues in New York City. I'm credible. And he's like, it didn't make sense to him. He's like, you can get in front of millions of people every week. What are you doing? And hearing it that way, I was like, you're right. The whole idea is to get out in front of people.
Sure.
The whole idea is to get my voice out there and my message out there. So I hopped on a plane last minute, did the last audition, got on the show, and it was a whirlwind, man. I wound up doing really well on the show. As far as voting, it was a voting show, and but the audience did not decide the fate of the contestants. So what happened was Tommy Lee and all them decided, and I wasn't for them. I was not for their 80s revival, cliche kind of band. It was more I was getting out there at that point for my own thing. I realized my voice and my interpretation of the songs, and I got to play original music on the show, was speaking to people. And I was kind of like the Al Gore of the show. The popular votes were all voting for me, but the band didn't, it wasn't for them again. So it worked out really nice because it kind of launched me on television as a solo artist. Instead of competing for this prize to be in their band, early on people realized, well, he's not right, but we all love him, so we're going to keep him on. And I kept being able to do these things, like play original music on the show. So when I finished, there was an audience out there, hooked up with an incredible record label, Atlantic Records, and
they're awesome. We do a lot of cool stuff with them. Love it.
I mean, not only is it a historic label, obviously in the history books, but they do this thing with me. Now, this show was a few years back. This is no American Idol where, like, 3 months in, get your songs, go, 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 and you got to come out. Which is cool because there's such a big audience for that show. But for me, it was like, cool, well, now we know what you're about. What kind of record do you want to make? What do you want to do? And I collaborated with some incredible people, guys I've always wanted to work with, and made this record I'm super proud of called 1159. And it was a few years in the making. And then I went on tour. I wanted to tour first and build a base. So they let me do all this, and that's what I'm saying why they're so special, because it's this thing, the rare thing called artist development that doesn't exist anymore, as you guys know. And it's hard for a new artist out there. So you're competing against these giants all the time. So to get that care was nice, and made this record, and here we are. It's out now, which is I'm so used to telling people it's coming, and now that it's out, I'm talking to you for the first time, really, my first interview that it's been out. So here we are.
It's awesome, and we're gonna hear "Breathe" right now. But tell us the title of the album, 11:59. It's like on a clock, 11:59, the time. Where does that come from?
Sure. Well, 11:59. I can tell you what it means to me, really, and that's a lot of this album. It's like it's a very personal album, but what I'm finding, like in a song like "Breathe," it's a little more universal than I thought. It's speaking to people in their own lives. So 11:59 is really this idea for me that you got to live in the moment, And this album, for the first time in my life, when I was making it, I was enjoying the process, enjoying where I was, and I was like, who am I? Who would I love to be? And it was a musician and being on the stage and writing music. So for me, that's my 11:59. And I watch a football game, and you see a football guy, you see him score a touchdown and euphorically smile, and you're like, wow, that's, even if you don't like football, you're attracted to that, and that's a beautiful thing. And that's his 11:59, and it begs me to ask people listening, or you, what's your 11:59, and are you living it? And that's kind of what this album screams, live in the moment and be who you want to be.
I like that. See, you know what my 11:59 is?
I want to hear
Seriously, when I look at my kids, I got a 2.5-year-old and a 4-month girl, both girls. And when I go home and look at them, that's my 11:59. I'm pointing at the camera right now. That's my 11:59. I like that.
That is a
You've
beautiful
inspired
thing.
me now.
Yeah,